10 things you must quietly eliminate to become powerful. Machiavelli. There is one mistake that keeps most people powerless for their entire lives. They think power comes from addition. More knowledge, more discipline, more skills, more connections, more good habits, more early mornings, more positive affirmations, more layers of confidence wrapped around a core that is still soft underneath. But that is not how power is built. Power does not begin with what you add. It begins with what you are willing to remove. Because if a vessel is cracked, everything you pour into it eventually leaks out. It does not matter whether you pour in ambition, talent, time, or willpower. If you are still full of invisible leaks on the inside, you will always feel like you are doing a lot and keeping very little. You will learn a lot, but gain no real weight. You will work hard but build no real authority. You will move fast and still find yourself dragged back into the same old mud. That is the feeling of people who are draining themselves without knowing it. They are not weak because they lack potential. They are weak because too many things are bleeding them every day. Machiavelli understood that more clearly than most people ever will. He did not look at human beings through moral fantasy. He looked at them as they really are. Easily moved by perception, easily bought through emotion, easily shaped by appearances, and always attentive to what can be extracted from you. In that world, power does not belong to the best person. It belongs to the person who manages himself with the most secrecy, the most precision, and the fewest leaks. A powerful person is not always the loudest one, not always the harshest one, not always the one who makes people afraid at first glance. Sometimes a powerful person is simply someone who no longer wastes himself in stupid places, someone who no longer scatters himself everywhere, someone who no longer gives other people too much access to his time, emotions, thoughts, and value. But there is one thing you must remember from the beginning. If you truly want to become powerful, tell no one. Do not announce that you are changing. Do not tell your friends that from now on you will be different. Do not post about your self-improvement journey. Do not make a public statement about cutting this person off, rejecting that behavior, or leaving behind your old self. The moment you announce your transformation, you give the world a chance to interfere with it. The people who benefited from your softness will resist it. The people who were comfortable seeing you small will feel uneasy when you begin to draw boundaries. The people who used to control you will not calmly watch you become harder to use. The people who once knew how to read you will grow restless when you begin to go quiet, and they will not always resist you through open hostility. Sometimes they will only smile, only ask a few questions, only make you feel extreme, only make you wonder whether changing like this means you are becoming cold, selfish, or not yourself anymore. That is how old versions of you get dragged back out of the grave. So, if you are tired of putting in effort without becoming heavier, sharper, or more dangerous, maybe the problem is not what you still need to gain. Maybe the problem is what you have not yet had the courage to cut. There are 10 things like that. 10 leaks. 10 silent traitors hiding inside the way you operate. The first thing you must quietly eliminate is over-explaining. You explain too much. You explain because you are afraid of being misunderstood. You explain because you want other people to see that you are not being irrational. You explain because you cannot stand the feeling of someone looking at you with doubt. You explain because you want approval. And every time you do it, you lower your position without realizing it. When you over-explain, you are telling the other person that your decision is not strong enough to stand on its own. It needs outside agreement to become valid. And the moment you do that, you are no longer the one making the decision. You become the one asking permission for that decision to exist. Someone asks why you chose this direction, and instead of letting your choice stand there as a fact, you open a courtroom, you submit reasons, You present circumstances. You defend your motives. You try to make everything more acceptable. And what happens? They begin to feel entitled to judge. They inspect every sentence. They challenge every word. They doubt. They push back. And they force you into the position of defending something that never needed defending in the first place. That is the moment power leaves your hands. A powerful person does not explain everything, not because he is arrogant, but because he understands a brutal principle. The more people believe they are entitled to your explanations, the less free you are. The world will always contain people who do not understand you, people who do not agree with you, people who want to force you to prove that you are justified. If you live by the reflex of explaining yourself to everyone, you will spend your life asking for permission to exist. From now on, learn how to let your decisions stand without holding them up with endless words. When someone digs too deeply into something that is not their right to question, sometimes one short sentence is enough. That is my choice. I think it is right for me. I want it that way. Or silence. The right silence can weigh more than a speech. Do not announce that you are done explaining yourself. Just stop. Let the people who were used to watching you defend yourself realize that the door is no longer open. At first, they will be surprised. They will press harder. They will get irritated. But if you do not move, they will learn your new limits without you ever needing to read them out loud. The second thing you must cut is excessive availability. You are too easy to access, too easy to reach, too easy to get a response from, too easy to pull into a conversation, too easy to claim a piece of time from, too easy to activate whenever someone wants your attention. You live like a room with the lights always on and the door always open, where anyone passing by can walk in and take a piece of your time, energy, or focus. You think that makes you kind, easygoing, reliable, good-hearted. But anything that is too easy to reach loses value quickly. Human beings rarely respect what is always available. They get used to it. They use it. They downgrade it in their minds. They no longer feel they have to prepare, wait, or qualify for it. So in their minds it cannot be that precious. Your time is no different. Your presence is no different. If anyone can get it without effort, without waiting, without passing through any layer of selectivity, then gradually you yourself begin to be felt as a convenience rather than a force. The people who are seen as important are not always the most talented, but they control access to themselves. Not everyone gets a response. Not every invitation is accepted. Not every request is honored. That scarcity creates value. Scarcity does not beg for respect. It produces it. You do not need to become cold. You just need to stop living like a public resource. Create a delay between other people's demands and your reactions. Learn how not to answer immediately when nothing is urgent. Let invitations sit. Let messages wait. Let other people feel that your time has structure, priorities, and walls around it. A person who is too easy to access will always be used more than respected. Do not announce that you are becoming less available. That sounds weak, and it reveals too much. Just change your rhythm clearly enough that other people are forced to adapt to the new version of you. And when they can no longer reach you instantly, the way they used to, their minds will begin to reprice you on their own. The third thing is visible emotional reaction. This is one of the fastest ways to hand other people control over you. Every time someone says one sentence and your face reveals that it hit you, every time someone presses the right nerve and you heat up instantly, every time a look, a text message, or a cold silence visibly shifts your mood, every time you become too excited, too hurt, too angry, too eager, too obvious for the world to see, you are giving away data, and data is power. The more someone knows what moves you, the more they know how to steer you. People do not need to overpower you through force. They only need to pull you away from your center. One hook in the right place, and you will throw yourself off balance, One well-placed jab and your focus is gone. One deliberate silence and your mind starts spiraling. One hint of rejection and suddenly you begin explaining, proving, reacting. At that point, you have already lost. Not because they are stronger than you, but because you are too readable. A powerful person is not someone who has no emotions. A powerful person is someone who does not allow emotion to rush into battle before the mind arrives. He creates a pause, a very small space between stimulus and response. And inside that space, he takes back the right to choose what the world gets to see. That is the difference between prey and a player. Prey reacts. A player chooses the reaction. From now on, let your face betray you less. Let your eyes confess less. Let your emotions pass through the filter of will before they step into the open. You do not need to become stone. You only need to become harder to read. Let the people who used to know exactly which buttons to press begin to wonder whether those buttons still work. Do not tell anyone that you are learning emotional control. Let them fall into the empty space where your old reactions used to be. The fourth thing is free advice. You are giving away your mind as if it has no price. Someone has a problem, and you jump in to solve it. Someone is confused, and you organize their thoughts for them. Someone is stuck, and you use your clarity to rescue them. You think you are being generous, maybe you are. But in many cases, you are teaching other people that your strategic thinking is something they can access for free. That is one way to make yourself cheap. Not because your advice lacks value, but because it has value, it cannot be scattered carelessly as a reflex. Some people will take your ideas, use them, and forget you. Some will come to you only when they need clarity and disappear the moment their lives feel easier. Some do not actually want to grow. They only want to borrow your thinking so they do not have to think for themselves. You become a backup brain for people who refuse to take responsibility for their own lives. Meanwhile, your mental energy is drained, and the things that actually deserve your investment are left starving. A powerful person is not against sharing. He is selective about where strategic value gets placed. He knows that the ability to see the essence of a problem is a form of power. And any form of power that is distributed without conditions will eventually lose its weight. From now on, do not rush to solve everyone else's board. Listen more. Let people reveal how serious they really are. Watch what they have already tried, what they understand, what they are willing to take responsibility for. If they only want to borrow your clarity so they can feel less confused without changing anything, then your silence is the correct answer. Not everyone who asks deserves the best part of your mind. The fifth thing that must be purged is relationships kept alive only by habit. There are people in your life who are no longer enemies, but they are not allies either. They are just leftovers from an older version of you. A connection preserved by inertia, by memory, by fear, by the sentence, "We've known each other for so long." And those faded relationships often drain your life force more than anything else, because they are rarely bad enough to make you leave decisively, but they are almost never good enough to make you grow. You leave them feeling heavier, more distracted, slower, pulled back into old conversations, old energy, old thinking. You do not always notice it immediately, but after every encounter, some sharpness has been stripped from you. A life is not destroyed only by major blows. It is also destroyed by steady depletion in places that seem harmless. Machiavelli understood very clearly that a man's position is shaped not only by the enemies he resists, but by the people he permits around him. A man cannot stay strategically cold if he spends every day surrounded by relationships that make his mind soft. From now on, look more coldly at your connections. Who leaves you stronger after you part? Who makes you clearer? Who makes you more focused? Who makes you want to act more and talk less? And who pulls you back into fog, drift, wasted energy, and mental weakness. Not every relationship needs a dramatic ending. Many relationships should end through disciplined withdrawal. Show up less, initiate less, open up less, give less time. No accusations, no speeches, no moral superiority. Just stop watering it. What is no longer fed will die on its own. What is no longer aligned will eventually fall away from your path. That is how grown people remove what weakens them without leaving a trail of unnecessary social corpses behind them. The sixth thing is visible struggle. Too many people think that talking about how hard their journey is will make them look more impressive. But in most cases, it only lets others see how strained they really are. You keep talking about how busy you are, how exhausted you are, how much pressure you are under, how late you stayed up, how hard you have been grinding. You think you are proving your determination. But what other people often see is simply that you are struggling, and a man who is seen as struggling will be placed very differently in the minds of others than a man who is seen as operating under control. Human beings believe appearances more than truth. If your surface is always fatigue, stress, complaining, and strain, then in their minds you become the kind of person who must constantly fight to keep himself together. That is not the image of power. The powerful are not necessarily less burdened. They are simply less theatrical about the burden. They let the hardest work happen behind closed doors. They let the exhaustion pass in private. They let the process remain in shadow. Then, they step forward with results. Results always weigh more than stories about effort. Do not turn your private war into public content. Do not let the world get used to seeing you as someone who is barely holding it together. Let them get used to seeing you bring something into reality at the right time, with the right weight, and without unnecessary words. The man who talks often about his suffering is often asking to be acknowledged. The man who produces results and stays quiet is building authority. The seventh thing is complaint. This is one of the easiest sense of weakness to detect. Not because complaining is always illegitimate, but because repeated complaint trains you to place yourself beneath your circumstances. When you constantly talk about how unfair life is, how toxic people are, how difficult the environment is, how bad the market is, how your family does not understand you, how your co-workers are insufferable, what is happening is not just emotional release. You are conditioning yourself into an identity of victimhood. And a man who lives inside victimhood sends out a signal that opportunists recognize immediately. This is someone who is not steering his own life. People who complain attract two kinds of people: predators who want to exploit weakness by pretending to be saviors, and other powerless people who want company in their helplessness. Neither group leads you toward power. A powerful person does not spend much language on what he hates. He either fixes it, uses it, or leaves it. But he does not turn resentment into his main voice. Complaint may make you feel lighter for 10 minutes, but the price is that in the minds of others and in your own subconscious, you slowly become someone being handled by life instead of someone handling it. From now on, replace an old question with a colder one. Not, "Why is this happening to me?" but, "What part of this is in my hands, and what will I do with that part?" The second question gives you the wheel back. The first one leaves you in the seat of the victim. A man who rarely complains does not necessarily have an easier life. He simply understands that repeatedly displaying helplessness is one way to teach the world to disrespect him. The eighth thing is negotiable standards. You say you have principles, but your principles are softer than you think. Someone crosses the line, and you still let it go. Someone treats you poorly, and you still soften. Someone pushes a little harder, and you move. Someone makes things awkward, and you adjust yourself to reduce the tension. The first time is because you feel uncomfortable. The second time is because you want to keep the peace. The third time is because it's not worth making a big deal out of. And little by little, what you call standards turns into chalk on the floor. One hard rain, and it disappears. People learn your boundaries by pushing against them. If they push and you move, they learn that you move. If they beg and you soften, they learn that you soften. If they pressure and you yield, they learn that every principle you have has a price. A man with negotiable standards eventually becomes food for people who know how to apply pressure. From now on, instead of fences, build walls. A fence has gates, gaps, and exceptions. A wall does not. It stands there. It does not argue. It does not explain. It does not feel guilty. When someone tries to force you past a line you have set, do not launch into a long justification. Do not open a negotiation about something that should have been clear from the beginning. Just remain where you are. Let them get upset. Let them become uncomfortable. Let them try again. Then, let them discover that you still have not moved. After a few times, they will stop, not because they understood your reasons, but because they touched the boundary and discovered that there is no room for negotiation there. The ninth thing is information leakage. A lot of people lose not because their opponents are better, but because they do not know how to keep their board concealed. They tell too much. Their plans, their next move, their private fears, their old weak points, their current conflict, what they are building, what they are about to try, what they have not done yet but desperately want to do. They talk because they want encouragement, because it feels lighter to say it out loud, because they mistake being heard for being safe. No. The moment information leaves your mouth, it no longer belongs to you. It can be distorted as it passes through others. It can reach people who should never know it. It can be used as leverage against you. It can ruin surprise. It can turn you into a target before you are ready to act. And the worst part is that nobody usually betrays you in a way clear enough for you to point at. Things just become strange, harder, less clean, as if somebody always knew one step ahead of you. A man who reveals his move too early has already lost part of the game. Machiavelli understood that power is always tied to asymmetry of information. The man who knows more, reveals less, predicts more accurately, and conceals more effectively holds the advantage. The man who constantly broadcasts his inner life, plans, and motives as a form of connection will always remain transparent. From now on, become more private, not fake, not paranoid, just private. When someone asks too deeply about what is not yet ready to be seen, give them a simple surface, nothing much. Still figuring it out, we'll see. Do not hand anyone a map into your war room unless they have a role there. The person who has little data on you will have to guess. And the one who must guess is always below the one who already knows. The 10th thing, and the root of all the others, is the need for approval. This is the biggest leak. This is the mother of the others. You explain because you want approval. You stay too available because you are afraid of being left out. You show emotion because you want to be understood. You give free advice because you want to feel valuable. You keep dead relationships because you are afraid of being disliked. You display your effort because you want recognition. You complain because you want comfort. You soften your standards because you are afraid to lose people. You reveal too much because you want connection. Look closely. A lot of what you call personality is really just a strategy for getting validation. You are not living from your center. You are living from other people's reactions to you. Every decision passes through an invisible filter. What will they think? Will they still like me? Will they think I am cold, too selfish, too different? And from that moment on, you are no longer free. Whoever controls your hunger for approval controls the reins around your neck. All they have to do is give you a little recognition, and you soften. Show disappointment, and you begin adjusting yourself. Turn cold for a moment, and you hurry to prove yourself. Remove warmth, and you start doubting your own value. That is not love. That is a mechanism of control. A powerful person is not someone who needs nobody. He is someone who no longer uses other people's faces as the primary mirror for his worth. He has an internal court. He asks, does this align with my direction? Does this fit the standards I chose? Does this make me stronger? If yes, he does it. If not, he leaves it. No extra 100 nods required. Freedom is not being accepted by everyone. Freedom is no longer needing that acceptance to feel legitimate. Once this root is cut, the other 9 leaks begin to dry up. You no longer feel the urge to explain everything, no longer stay too available to hold on to affection, no longer react just to feel understood, no longer give away your intelligence to feel important, no longer keep people by betraying your own standards, no longer reveal your plans just to feel connected. You become quieter, but heavier, need less, but become more dangerous, less pleasing to everyone, but more real to yourself. That is both the price and the reward of power. Now look back at the 10 things you must quietly eliminate. Over-explaining, excessive availability, visible emotional reaction, free advice, relationships kept alive only by inertia, public display of struggle, habitual complaint, negotiable standards, information leakage, and the addiction to approval. 10 leaks. 10 ways you have been quietly making yourself cheap. 10 channels through which power has been draining out of your life. And from this moment on, the game must change. Do not announce it. Do not go online and hint that you are transforming. Do not tell your friends about your purge. Do not perform a public ritual for a war that must be won in darkness. Real change does not need an audience. It needs secrecy, consistency, coldness, and absolute loyalty to the stronger version of you that is being built. Tomorrow, choose 1 leak and seal it. You do not have to seal all 10 at once, just 1, but seal it for real. No negotiation, no half measures, no retreat when somebody gets uncomfortable. Let that new feeling live inside you long enough to become real. Then seal the next one, and the next. Until you begin to feel your energy staying with you, your focus growing denser, your self-respect standing upright, and the way other people touch your life beginning to change. Then, one day, people will look at you and feel that something is no longer the same. You are no longer easy to get, no longer easy to read, no longer easy to shake. No longer the person who always has to explain, always has to show up, always has to react, always has to give in order to be kept. You speak less, but people listen more carefully. You disappear more, but every time you appear, you weigh more. You no longer send out the same signals of weakness, and the world begins to treat you differently. That is when you understand a very cold truth. Other people do not change the way they respect you because you ask them to. They change when they can no longer find the old way to use you, and that is where real power begins. Not when you learn one more lesson, but when you stop leaking yourself. Let them wonder what happened to you. Let them say you have changed. Let them feel that your silence now weighs more than the words they used to hear from you. Let them run into a wall where there used to be a door. Let the people who once knew how to use you realize too late that the lock has been changed. Because the most beautiful power is not the kind that enters the room with noise. The most beautiful power is the kind that arrives so quietly that by the time people realize it is there, every exit has already been closed. That is how Machiavelli saw the world. Not naively, not sentimentally, not through the fantasy that being good is enough, but by looking directly at one difficult truth. Either you learn to govern the places where you are easiest to exploit, or the world will use those very places to decide your position. So stop asking what else you need to add in order to become powerful. Ask the better question. What will I cut away today so I stop betraying myself? And then do it in silence. No noise, no announcement, no witnesses. Just you, the weaker version of you, and a blade cold enough to end it.